I'm Jay Pitts, a real estate broker, agent, leader, and investor. For the last decade, I've navigated the craziest of real estate markets this country has ever seen, selling over 2,000 homes, moving in and out of markets, always ahead of the curve. And now I'm bringing that perspective to you. This is your resource, and Real Talk About Real Estate starts right now. We're back, folks. Another episode of Resource, Real Talk About Louisville Real Estate. I am your host, Jay Pitts, broker owner at Remax Premier Properties, leader of JT Pitts and Associates. And you know what? It is Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. And you know, January is one of those months. I'm excited about what I'm going to talk to you about today, but aren't I always? Just to be fair, a little animated. I'm as a mentor of mine, a great friend, Mr. Bill Pipes, and Mr. Tom Ferry would say, I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. And I am really excited, really, not just excited, but really excited to talk to you about the topic for today's show. And it's apropos. It's relevant to the time. It is relevant to the time of year. It is relevant to the feeling that a lot of you probably have at your core, which is that, we've come off a difficult year. The start to this year has been difficult also. And a lot of people just want to get on with it, right? Just get on with life. I'm an achiever. Most of you, if you listen to this show, you know that. I am never satisfied with my business, with anything I do, anything I choose to do. I'm just not satisfied. I can't imagine a life being satisfied. More educated, more wealth, better father, better husband, better real estate person, better business owner, better leader. That's what I'm after, right? So I am constantly aiming at a moving target. I know that about myself. I've come to peace with it, right? It's the never being satisfied part of my psyche is what keeps me moving forward. It's what makes me happy, to be fair. Some people may look at it like, a life of failure to be never satisfied. Truthfully, I think it's quite the opposite, but to each his own. And that's a big part of the message for today. But what do we talk about? Every year, when we take this arbitrary approach to the new year, when we roll the clocks on December 31st, we watch the ball drop, and we say, "New year, new me." Hashtag. We say, what are your resolutions? What are your goals? And to be frank, I don't like any of those words. And I really don't like the arbitrary nature of resolutions, the arbitrary nature, because time as a construct is just, time is fleeting. That's what you need to know about time. You have one life to live, and there is no time like the present to make the changes needed in your life to live the kind of life that you want to live. So today, I'm going to warn you. It's going to be a little philosophical, not quite as tactical, but I'm going to try and draw it to a place where there's some practical application. So, the thing, again, that you need to understand is that goals inherently have a flaw. The concept have a flaw. Now, I guess it's a matter of perspective, which is a word you're going to be hearing a lot today in this episode because perspective is incredibly important. But I would submit to you that the word goal is so aspirational in its context that it sets you up for failure. Before you even start pursuit of goals, with the dreaded air quotes, your goals, you have resigned yourself to falling short. That's what goals have become in our society. That's what goals have become in the business world. Goals give you permission not to achieve them. Now, you're going to say, Jay, come on now. Goals, I mean, if you don't have a goal, what do you aspire to? Well, you aspire to achieve something, some end. I'm just simply asking you to change your way of thinking. Goals, I would guess, most often are not achieved. Most often. Objectives? Now, there's another word. How does that sound? How does objective sound? Sounds like something that is going to be achieved. What about an intention? You know, a lot of my mentors, they want to say, I intend. That's where I want to. No, I intend to. When someone tells you, Seth, I intend to eat lunch before 1 o'clock today, you're probably going to eat lunch before 1 o'clock. Now, I gather that no matter what it is set in the future, there's a chance that you won't achieve that outcome. There's a chance. But I challenge you to speak more resolutely, to align your conscious and subconscious mind and think about the self-talk. Okay, I'm going to get off the high horse about the word choice goals. And frankly, if you're a member of my organization and you come to me and tell me what your goal is, as so many of you do, and please don't stop because I love it. It inspires me. I'm in. This is what I'm here for. Okay, don't feel hesitant to discuss your goals with me because I know what you mean. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to get off the high horse, but I just think we should all resolve. There's another one of those words, resolution, resolve. Somehow a resolution seems like it's not going to be achieved. But if I'm resolved to do something, I'm probably going to do it. Anyway, I digress. Words are important, I will say. Words are important, but thoughts are more important. And self-talk is really not words. It is your state of being. Self-talk is more important than you know. So let's resolve, let's intend, okay, and let's have objectives, and let's consider the use of the word goal. Now, something that you need to discuss with yourself when you're having your self-talk, and please don't do this in other people's presence, especially not those that love you, because they're going to think you're nuts. I suggest high levels of caffeine very early in the morning in dead silence, having these self-conversations, and not actually with words or actually vocalized auditory kind of, noises, but have these conversations in your own mind. And the thing you need to consider when you have these is perspective. Or as my great friend and good leader on JT Pitts and Associates, Mr. Phil Wunderlich, addressed our team at our retreat last week. What do you want? What do you want? And be honest with yourself. Don't want something because you're supposed to want it. That's the biggest mistake that most people make in a career, in a life. You're supposed to graduate high school. When you graduate high school, you're supposed to go to college, some of us. At least that's the expectation that society has for us. When you graduate college, you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to get a job. You're supposed to buy a house. You can do that. I give you permission. But whether you're supposed to or not, you're allowed to buy houses. I won't discourage. You're supposed to buy a house. You're supposed to have children. You're supposed to grow old and retire and have grandkids. I mean, that's conventional. It's old-fashioned. But the truth is, we're in an age where information is readily available. Society is incredibly progressive. And literally, anything you want to pursue is within your grasp, whether it be a hobby, for a profession, or just for enjoyment. Near anything is within your grasp. So why would you ever choose to pursue something that you don't truly love, that you don't truly want. Now, I gather that that's Pollyanna, pie in the sky. Oh, Jay, you're so lucky. But the truth is, I am lucky. 2 generations ago, my family didn't have running water, right? One generation, my father went to work, at a very early age, just help support his family, and then ultimately put himself through college. My mother did the same thing and had very similar upbringing and background. And they had me when they were young. I know it's not the youngest that everybody is, but my mom was 21 and my dad was 22. Dad went into the military, worked himself into a situation where he could provide for a family through the military, left, went into business, made money, went broke, picked himself back up, and showed me the best childhood that you could possibly be shown. But that doesn't mean he gave me everything. He gave me wisdom. He taught me work ethic. He taught me drive. And I told myself I never wanted his career to be in real estate. But that was just a stubborn type A firstborn that wanted to blaze his own path foolishly, and with immaturity at the time. And then ultimately I followed the same footsteps. And, I've defied him sometimes, and I've taken his advice to heart always, but acted differently sometimes. And sometimes I've followed it verbatim. But the point being, what that led me to, all of that privilege led me to an opportunity. And if you know me, I like that topic of conversation, because when you come to work here, I offer you nothing but opportunity. But that opportunity that all of that privilege earned me was to work 90 hours a week in the worst real estate market that ever existed, in hopes of supporting myself and my new wife. Now, it wasn't easy, but it was possible. And it happened. And wisdom is gained through these experiences. And though I'm young, relatively, not as young as I used to be, as you can tell by the gray in the beard, but what I know is a couple of things are required. You have to know what you want. What I want today is different than what I wanted yesterday and 5 years ago. And what I want tomorrow will be different than what I want today. But that's not all that you need. That perspective is not all that you need. You need the discipline to execute, the discipline to get in action, the discipline to stay in action and to finish when it gets difficult, because it will. Anything worth having is difficult. My brother and I, make a habit of going to the annual RE/MAX convention. It's something that, we have done for quite some time. It's something my father liked to do. And my wife, now as a partner in the firm, in our companies, has adopted that practice as well. And once upon a time, Zach and I saw Magic Johnson speak at the RE/MAX convention, and he said to me, anything you've ever wanted is on the other side of uncomfortable. So I'm full of, and if you watch this show, you'll hear him all the time, I'm full of this motivational sales speak. But that's only because I take from other areas and formulate my own philosophies. And what you're hearing today is no different. But to take a step back, perspective and discipline. The two thoughts, the two themes that were core to our team retreat last week are perspective and discipline. Discipline being one of our core values. In fact, the last of our 5 core values, and that always we love to finish with, because it's truly the difference between good and great, in my opinion. Now, that's not the same good and great that you have probably read by Jim Collins that talks about, leadership skills and having people in the right roles. All that stuff is important. But the truth is in our business, and if you're a real estate professional, please pay attention now. You know what you need to do. You've often heard me say this business is not complex, but it isn't easy either. Or it's simple, but hard. And that's the truth, because you know what to do. Extra hour of prospecting, one more returned phone call, door knocking, FISBOs, and expireds, picking up the phone and calling your past clients and sphere of influence, being available at 7:00 to answer that telephone if what you're doing is building a hockey stick style business in terms of growth. You know the right thing, to add another assistant, to pick up a new lead source, to hire an agent to help you with the showings that you can't get to. All those difficult decisions, you know what to do. But you just got to do them. And the difference between knowing and executing is discipline. So again, I say the difference between good and great is discipline. Now, I could summarize these arguments in another way. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, says there are 4 things that are required to get anything you want in life. A burning desire. There's your what do you want? What do you want and how bad do you want it? You need a mind closed to all negatives. Right? That's the discipline to keep going, even though those closest to you tell you it's a stupid idea because they don't share your passion. And truthfully, the biggest impediment to what you want in life is typically someone that loves you, that doesn't believe or is afraid of the consequences of you not achieving the goal. They're actually doing you a favor because they're trying to shield you from the pain that is associated with not achieving an intention that is attached to something you truly love. Now, the third thing, according to Napoleon Hill, is a plan and continuous action toward the execution of that plan. Again, discipline. And a mastermind is number 4, which is someone who signs on to assist you. So it's the antithesis of the mind closed to all negative. This, in fact, is a positive person that helps you achieve the goal that you've set forth. And all that, frankly, can be summarized in the words I'm about to tell you, which is really less than one sentence. And that's just, to get anything you want in this business, your actions must align with your intentions. Or, once again, you know what to do. Now you got to do it. Some people talk about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. Those are all great things, right? I'll quote you a statistic that 65% of goals are achieved when accountable to a person. Now, the trick is truly being held accountable, because as I told you before, the biggest impediment to the achievement of your goal or your intention is someone that you love who's trying to save you the pain of failure. But when you're truly held accountable by a person, there's a 65% chance your goals will be achieved. When that person also holds you accountable to a deadline, the goal becomes 95% effective. 95% attainable, what have you. So, I'm gonna cut this a little bit short, because I know I've been up here preaching for a time. And it really is just because I'm incredibly passionate about the subject I'm delivering to you today. But I hope it lands on you at an important time. Now, more than ever, in my opinion, do we need a return to discipline. Now, I'll tell you about myself, my team, my 2 leaders. I mentioned Phil Wunderlich earlier, Luke Andrews, Luke Andrews, and myself. We took a trip to Nashville last January. We heard a speaker. Gentleman specializes in scaling large teams. Really, like the number 1 RE/MAX team in the world, the number 2 RE/MAX team in the world, probably 15 of the top 50 real estate teams in the entire world were in that 3-day seminar with us. Not to include, but also in addition, the CEO of RE/MAX, Mr. Adam Contos, was sitting in that room with us. And we came away so excited. We came away with such high hopes for 2020. And I'm not saying 2020 was bad. business-wise. I recognize how fortunate we were to have the V-shaped recovery that we did have. I am so thankful for my agents, our clients, and the success we achieved. But in the end, 2020 was just another pretty successful year, when what we wanted was historic for this market. Now, I've come to peace with it. I know the grit that my people showed. I know the hardship that others endured. And to stand here and talk about success in the face of that, it should not be diminished that folks are hurting. But I can't apologize for the way that I'm wired. And how I'm wired is looking for a level of success that changes the trajectory of the lives of the people on my team. And if you thought I was fired up for it last year, I'm really fired up for it now. And I know so many of you listening to this episode are as well. So that's why I wanted to bring this timely message to you today and reinforce the idea of perspective and discipline. You don't have to pursue something that is not uniquely important to you. You don't have to sell 100 homes. You don't have to sell 500 homes. You don't have to make $1 million. Might be nice, but you don't have to. If it's not important to you, I once had a conversation with someone who's very impactful on my career, who is I'm incredibly close with, is a great friend and agent. And I had the conversation with this person. I said, what do you want? And can you sacrifice 25% of your gross income? Because if you sacrifice 25% of your gross income, you'll get back 25% of your time. At that moment, that accounted for $100,000 that year. It also accounted for 15 hours a week. And that's being generous, because it was probably more hours. And what that illustrates is that if this person could write a check and buy an extra 15 hours a week for an entire year, $100,000 doesn't touch what they would pay for that. Now, illustrating that particular perspective to this person led to them knowing that the change they were about to make was necessary. And after that, we compromised and figured out how to make more money in less time. And we didn't get there in a day. But once again, this business is simple, but it isn't easy. It's about making those hard decisions consistently. The ones you already know you need to make. I would tell you that very simply, I think a substantial, like an incredible majority of agents, I'm going to go ahead and say 99% of agents don't call their past clients at all. At all. I'd say there's probably 95% that don't reach out at all, even over email or text. Not even a constant contact, generic ass campaign. Like nothing. Zero. And I'm going to guess 99 or better don't pick up the phone and call. And I'm saying at all. I don't even mean regularly. I mean at all, 99%. And of that 1% that may call, most of them don't do it regularly, and most of them also don't say what they're calling about. They pretend they're not calling for business. And I'm going to sit here and tell you that not only should you call regularly, but you should formalize that conversation with an ask for business, for referrals. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, it's because you're not good enough at having the conversation, and there is no other explanation as far as I'm concerned. I said I was going to tone it down, and I guess I will, but I'm just too passionate about this, guys. This business can give you more opportunity than you can imagine. Had a great conversation with one of our agents the other day who was very successful in another career. And we tried to project the trajectory of this new career over the next 5 years. And she's probably listening right now and nodding her head, but she was not able to contemplate just the volume of opportunity that exists. You mean in 3 years, I can make 3 times what it took me 15 years to build in this other industry? Yes, that's exactly what I mean, and probably faster. But you're not going to get there if that's not what you want, number one. If you don't know what you want, number two. And if you don't have the discipline to do the things you already know to do that you've excused away in your past. You keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. And yes, I know that that's not good grammar. Anyway, I'm going to close it up on a high note. I love you. I care about you. If you're with me, you're on my team. I think I've shown that. Which means I'm never going to lie to you. Whatever goals, intentions, resolutions, what have you that you've set for yourself this year. A, tell a person. B, make a deadline. And C, understand that the only thing standing in your way is your willingness to be disciplined. That's all I got. As always, now that I've lectured you for 30 minutes, give us a 5-star review on iTunes. No, if you appreciate anything we do, it's not easy to get up here and find something relevant to talk about every week. We live for positive feedback. I can't tell you how much the emails, the texts, the 5-star reviews, the notes in the private Facebook group, how much they mean to me. How it keeps us going. And we're working on about 3 years now of weekly episodes with a COVID hiatus, but it's pretty much not a subject I haven't touched yet. And I'm trying my best not to be repetitive. And sometimes I'm sure I am just out of sheer passion for the topic. But I want this to be relevant, so I want your feedback. I want it, even if it's a 1-star review, tell me I suck. I hope you can tell that I'm trying to give you much fewer knows and ums and all that, because frankly, getting on this microphone and talking by yourself for 30 minutes isn't easy. And I'm not a pro, but I'm working on it. So I will intend to get better every week. And if you appreciate what we do, give us some feedback. 5-star review on iTunes or wherever you podcast from. Share it with a friend who's a real estate agent that could use this. You can find me on any of the social channels. My DMs are open. You can always email me. My cell is easy to find. I'm not going to say it over the podcast here. That would probably into a lot of telemarketing. But once again, Google me and you can find me. It's not that difficult. Again, Jay Pitts, host of Resource, Real Talk about Louisville real estate. I appreciate you bearing with me this week, and we'll see you next Wednesday.